This is Tissanie Simmons, and you are watching TTWU.
Walking around with a chip on my shoulder. I move through the game like Nintendo controllers. I'm rolling up swishes up in the Corolla. I'm lifted for show off the indica odor. I chill with my bros as I'm hitting the doja. I'm twisting up joggers, little bitch, I'm a stoner. If you didn't, this is my
Writing screenplays, painting, things like that. I have 2 beautiful daughters, and by profession, I'm a nurse.
All right. I want to talk about your books that you've written. The 5 books. I count 5, right? Is it more than that?
There's 4.
4? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, 2 children's books.
Yeah, well,
right?
2 children's books, yeah.
Well, so I'm counting 5.
Okay.
We have Generational Curse.
Yes.
Exit 27A. My favorite, Dirty 30. No, you get that a lot. And then you got the 2 children's books, La La Ladybug and The Care Crew. Right?
Yes.
I want to talk about Dirty 30s.
Uh-oh.
Before we get to what was your motivation for writing Dirty 30s?
Wow. It was actually a conversation with friends. I feel like I'm at a place now where at the age now where women are just going through, whether they're ending marriages, they're starting over in relationships. And so it was just a lot of feedback, or women who are in marriages who have really been consumed with their lives and with children, profession, things like that. And so I was like, man, this is like a really tough time for women. And so one of my friends, I will never forget it, Emily, she calls me and she was like, dating in my 30s is trash. Like, this is terrible. Starting over, you kind of know who you are and you're still dealing with some of the same stuff. Like, this is crazy. So she was like, you really got to write a book about this. And I was just like, you think so? She was like, yeah, first start off with the do's and don'ts of dating. Like, do not do this, do not do that. That some of the things that we encounter when we first start dating at a young age, and it just kind of came, it just stemmed from there. So
yeah. You were talking about the type of, is that the word? The type of men, right? Why? What got you into writing different types of men? Because from when I showed this book to I think Tiffany said she read a little bit of excerpts. She's like, when you get done with the book, I need to read it. And I gave it to my assistant. She couldn't put it down. I was getting just like, oh, so you read somebody else's stuff in there. But it was a lot of good things in here. I mean, the type of men.
Yeah, I wanted to do both perspectives. It's not that I'm bashing men or anything. I think it's just a female perspective of like what you get when you're on the scene of dating. Whether it be the online dating where people are sending you inappropriate pictures, or how they approach you, or how to carry conversations, just how to deal with people. And, this is just kind of what a lot of my friends in my circle have been experiencing. So I was like, wow, people are still doing that. And then from a women's perspective, it's like, okay, but we need to stop accepting this as well. So I kind of hit it from both sides, so I don't want people to think like, oh, she's over here bashing men and all this stuff like that. It's not that at all. It's more like both perspectives, in that this is what we see when men do this, or how they approach us, or how they perceive us, and then this is what we need to be doing better. So yeah, that's kind of what's, and then the stories, I actually have some inserts from like real life stories, dating horror stories from my close circle of friends who offered up their stories, and I was like, I want to use this. I want people to see that these are some of the crazy things that women experience when they're out here dating, especially in their 30s. So
what's the difference between dating in your 20s and dating in your 30s?
I think dating in your 30s, for the most part, you come to know who you are really. I think dating in your 20s is so exploratory. Like, you're just exploring yourself. You're trying to get a feel of what you like in a person. And in a way, you're still getting to know your own self. So you're kind of building up your own personal resume of this is what I like and dislike. And so when you get to your 30s, I feel like most women that I've encountered have pretty much come to terms with who they are. And it's hard to just kind of find that balance when you're dealing with adults, even in their 30s, who's just still trying to figure it out, you know. And so either you say, I know who I am and this is what I'm looking for, or some people are just still out here kind of clueless, like, dang, like I can't seem to get a grip on this whole dating thing. So it's like two different perspectives there. But I think for the most part, for the most women that I've known, like they pretty much know who they are and what they want. So I think that's a huge difference.
Yeah. Generational curse. Might be talking about, what was your motivation for writing that book?
Wow. I call it my baby because it really is, pieces of that book is truly just my story. So, you know, I just remember feeling like a statistic growing up, you know, and just feeling like I was stuck in this box, this statistical box of saying like, I can't accomplish these things because of, you know, the lack of a father, living in low income housing, single parent home, you know, things like that. And so it really wasn't until I had my own like mentors that came into my life that were like, you can do these things. You can do whatever you want to do in this world. Don't let your circumstances and these adversities tell you that you can't. And so I was like, wow, okay. And from there, I became passionate about telling that story and just empowering young people. And, you know, my heart is always just disadvantaged areas and stuff. And so telling these young people, like, you can do it. I myself am a personal example of that. And so really, I had the story, it was in me, and I was like, I got to write something, I got to put something on paper. And then I was just inspired. And really, it's about the curses too, like the generational curses, not just what society tells us that's, you know, that we can't do, but even within our own community, we have these curses that, you know, I have to stay in low income housing, I have to stay, you know, on food stamps, I got to stay, you know, barefoot and pregnant, you know what I mean? So there was those curses as well. And so it really is just about a young girl who's kind of navigating that, and whether she's going to believe that these are false truths, or she's going to, you know, go after what it is that she really wants to do in this world. So.
Right. As you said about the, you know, low income and living like that, because what we see today, we see a lot of African Americans living like that. Do you approve of that system, or what do you think about that whole system?
I think just even the origin of the system was created to kind of to restrict us, and so I think we've fallen into becoming complacent in that. And so yes, I understand that the government system is there to kind of help people, but I think it does need some reform as well. I think that once we get in there, a lot of people become complacent. They think that, you know, I got to stay in it, and they're afraid to go to the next level and afraid to get out of that because we're so used to being, you know, told that this is where we belong. And so I don't necessarily think that there's anything bad about it. Like I grew up in it. I know a lot of successful people who've come from poverty, low income housing, you know, on food stamps or whatever. It's the system is should be designed to really help these people, but also help carry them to the next level, not just keep them down. So, no, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I just think that there should be levels to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I was telling a lot of people, like, you shouldn't become dependent on it.
Right.
That's what a lot of people I see do. They get on the system and then they become dependent on it, and then they raise their children and their children become dependent on it.
And that's a curse in itself. You know what I mean?
And so that's what I was thinking when I was reading, you know, reading
sure.
Generational Curse. I'm like, damn, that was cool. Have you always looked at yourself as a writer?
I always looked at myself as a storyteller. And so even from a young age, I was that child where my mom was like, tell that story about when such and such did that funny thing, you know, and I'm in front of her friends telling like jokes like, yeah, she said this, and acting out and stuff. And so it was more of like I was the entertainment child, right? So, but even then, as I got older, my friends and I, we would carry around this notebook, and we would like start writing like these stories, and then we'll pass it off to the next person, and then they would pass it on, and the person would continue. So we used to just write for fun like that in high school and things like that. But I really didn't become serious about it until I got like older, and then I just felt like inspired, like I gotta write some of these stories down because I have so many stories in my head that I want to put down to paper. So let me put it down. So I think just that's why I say people are like, oh, you're an author. It's like, yeah, I've written books, but I think for more, it's just for me, I feel like more of just a creator, just creating those stories that have just meaning behind them and things like that. So.
Do you see yourself creating more books on the lines like this? Because these are good.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know if you know,
I'm
people
working
really
on
like it.
I'm working on one now. It's called 7th Period.
Okay.
And it just really touches on the school system and social work within that school system and some of the things that they deal with some of these children that come through public school systems and stuff like that. So they have a lot of burdens to carry themselves with their own personal stuff, but yet, you know, the ones that are in these the schools that are very underprivileged and, you know, suffering a little bit, those people are passionate about where they're at. And I've talked to several social workers who just have a heart for, you know, giving back to these kids and really trying to help these kids. So just trying to take that perspective on the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exit 27A.
Exit
What was your
27A.
what was your motivation for that one? For that book?
People are like, oh, this is a juicy, you know, it's like a juicy story, but it's super fictional. It has some points in there. I feel like it's from my own personal experience. I think I was at a place where I was trying to decide where should I stick with love. I call it my love triangle, where you know, do you stay complacent and continue to love someone from your past, or do you take that chance and that fear of that unknown with trying a new love, and you know that's going to be a part of your future. And so it's just really about a young nurse trying to navigate that, like should I take this chance or should I go with what's familiar? And yeah, I think that it turned out to be a beautiful story. So
Oh, it absolutely is.
did you read it?
Yeah. It's good. I was like, she is talented. Like, that's why I wasn't even upset when she's probably just doing stuff, writing other books and stuff like that. You just been busy. Like, you're awesome. So
Thank you.
I just had to bring that up. Yeah. And your children's books.
Oh,
what was your motivation for the 2 books?
It was
Lala
actually
Ladybug.
my first daughter. So she was in kindergarten and she was doing a young authors project. And it was just young authors, if people aren't familiar, it's like, you know, you have to create your own book. And she was a kid that was just very, very much in love with her shoes. Like her nana would buy her all these shoes, and she loved her sparkling shoes. And she would never want to give her. We literally had to hide them because she always wanted to wear these shoes. And so I used to tell her that she had magic in her shoes. And so we just created this story about a young girl who had magic in her shoes. And that just inspired me to come up with some characters around the character Lala Ladybug, which my cousin used to call her Ladybug. And so what she does is she shrinks down and she just kind of helps inspire her friends in the forest and things like that. So again, more of an encouraging, inspirational book for young kids.
Do you see yourself creating more children's books?
I do. It's actually a series, you know, but I've written out the other books. It's just that the illustrations and things like that to really make it pop and really make it come to life are expensive. So
they are.
Yeah. And so I have to be in a place where, like, you know, that's all I'm really focused on. I got so many things that I'm working on. So, but for sure, I have like 3 other ones that are a part of that series that I just haven't, you know, put it out there yet.
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's talk about the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
She Before Me.
She Before Me, yes.
I'm so glad you started something like that. I think you're the first lady out here that's doing something that's for women, motivating women like that. I'm not sure if there are others out there doing that, but I think that is something very, very encouraging. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So let's talk more about that podcast. What inspired you to start the She Before Me?
Wow, and that was actually as I was writing Dirty 30s. A part of that was I was interviewing a lot of women and just getting their perspectives on life and where they were at. And what I found was I was really saddened really about how women have really forgotten about themselves. You know, we weren't taking care of ourselves. Self-care was non-existent in a lot of people's lives. And we become so selfless that we forget about who we are. And for me, I felt like I needed to do something about it. I was like, man, this is crazy. So I actually started a women's community, She Before Me. And really it's about seeing the woman past her several roles in life, right? So she may be known as mom and, a professional and a wife and so many other identities to other people, but taking a real look at like, who am I? And then a lot of people were like, I don't really know who I am. Actually, when I find out, I'll let you know, joking about it and things like that. And I was just like, man, that's so sad. Like, we need to start thinking about ourselves and building ourselves back up. And so started this community where the platform is just dedicated to just getting back to the woman's worth, confidence, and purpose.